artisans. Welcome to my TikTok. I hope everyone is having a beautiful weekend. And I am sitting here trying not to be too much in the sun, but I need the sun a little bit because I want to share with you today the Boro inspired Sashiko stitch half apron that we're working on over on YouTube. But I figure I bring it over here to TikTok and I'll download it over there to share with them. So let me give you a little preface here on what we're working on. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you're having a beautiful weekend. I was going to share with you a little bit in my book today, a couple little tidbits of history on cultural arts, and I think I'll do it on the next video. So for this one, let me just hold this up. I am sipping a little coffee this morning. So what I did, okay, is took an old bathrobe. This is an old bathrobe. And I sewed, you can see the Boro Sashiko inspired patch on it. And over on this pocket. And what I did is I cut the bathrobe basically in half to make a half utility Boro Sashiko apron. So the width of it is pretty wide because, you know, bathrobes kind of fold over. And so this utility half apron that I'm making is different from the one that I made before and that I'm wearing. This one will kind of overlap. So it will be able to fit a broad amount of sizes, which is perfect. Now, to make it an average size, it could be 40 inch by 40 inch, but to give it a little bit more leeway, I'm leaving this the 50 inch, and then it will just overlap. So with that, what I'm going to do is put the camera down. Now, I pinned the next design that I'm doing. You can see I did a little Boro building here with some scrap fabrics. And so I'm going to put the camera down on the floor so you can still see. And you can watch me start the stitching. And that's kind of what I wanted to do today, was to help you get a clearer perspective. Oh, that just took away my picture. There we go. So get you a little bit clearer perspective on how you can start your own Boro. Now, over here, first let me just show you here. Okay, this is the pocket. See, it's a pocket of the half apron. Hi, everyone. For those of you who are just joining, let me turn this back around and talk to you for just a moment, just so you know what's happening. So what I'm doing today is sharing with you a half apron, Boro Sashiko inspired, a Japanese patchwork, utility apron. So it's got the pockets. But it's a half apron made from an old bathrobe. Okay, and I cut right below, so it's different from the one I'm wearing. This is a utility apron, and you can see I put the pocket on it here. That's a jean pocket. You probably remember this one when we worked on it. But, oh, and I hope everyone's having a beautiful, hello everyone. I hope you're having a beautiful, beautiful Sunday. You know, it doesn't take a lot of scraps, really, to make something like this. If you look at the amount of scraps I have right here, I have the old bathrobe. The width of this, by the way, is about 50 inches. But I left it like that because, you know, bathrobes overlap like that. So I left it like that when I cut it in half for it to overlap at the waist. So that's a broader, it gives, if you're making these to sell, for example, it gives you a broader target audience. Okay. So if you want to make the average size, that's like 40 by 40, right? Or if it's a half, 40 by 30 or whatever you want. But this one, I just cut the top part off, and then I folded over the hem. So I folded it and I stitched it. Okay, so I have a nice, this is nice at the waist. It's folded, and you can iron it or fuse it or do whatever you want with that. And then, so there's a couple things before I start stitching I want to share with you. You can make your patches independent before you put them on your apron or whatever piece you're working on. Or you can take the piece, so that's what these are. That's what this is right here. And I did that on the last YouTube video. I just wanted to show all the artisans how you make your little patch, and then you can take your patch and just sew it onto your wherever you want on your apron or the piece that you're making, and whichever design or you type of stitches you want. Or you can do like we're doing today, and see, I pinned all of the patches, different size patches, different prints, and you just, and you know, people always like, oh, well, you got to have a certain way to do it. And no, there's no certain way to do it. You think of Boro, what you think of, this is your guide. This is how you can think. You are patching, you're mending, you're repairing. That is what Boro stems from in the 1400s. It stems from reinforcing fabrics and patching them whatever way possible they could, and using scrap fabrics. So no, it doesn't have to be a design like this. It doesn't have to be laid out perfectly. You can actually put more designs, whatever size you want. Like right here, I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to take this piece because I really, really like the colors on this. I'm going to make it a little smaller. I'm going to take this piece and I'm just going to put this and get these, use these little pekin scissors, by the way, to cut the little threads. And no, with Boro Sashiko Inspired, you are not folding these. No, leave it raw. If you don't want to leave it raw, that's fine. But what will happen in the process is it will get thick. It will get difficult for you. So you don't have to do that. But look, I can take this one and put it right there. And that just looks absolutely lovely. So I'm just going to pin that. And then we're going to start just doing what they call a very simple running stitch. It's the stitch that your sewing machine uses. It is the first stitch of all stitches. So it's a very simple stitch. So what I'm going to do though is put this down here so you can actually see and get my apron. You got to be careful when you're sewing. If you have, like, part of my apron was right under that. You can sew yourself to your piece if you're not careful. So anyway, so we're going to turn this. So does anyone have any questions? Whoops. Before I turn that camera, let's see, give you a chance for questions. Has anyone out there done Boro Inspired? Do you work with scrap fabrics? Have you done a utility apron with us before? Okay. So I am looking now for my thread, and I think I left it. Oh, here it is. Yep, here's my needle and thread. Now, for those of you who are not familiar and you're just joining, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can use like this. This is what they call lacy crochet thread. That's what this is. So there is also Sashiko thread, very specifically for Sashiko stitching. There's also a Sashiko needle. Or you can do like I do, is use your embroidery needle. So why the type of needles and threads? So the embroidery needle has a little bit wider eye, and that just allows you to thread it to thread your medium weight or whatever weight thread or yarn that you're using. So this is lacy crochet. Okay, so I got all of these at the thrift shop, by the way. So I'm going to have a sip of this, and then we're going to start stitching. Now, another thing about the embroidery needle, if the eye is too wide, or if this needle is too thick, it's going to put a hole right through your fabrics. Now, I just want to show you quickly the little stack, because look, you don't need a lot. You have a few pieces of fabric, you can make your Boro Sashiko beautiful inspired patch. So look, I cleaned out my drawers of all these large pieces of fabrics, and I kept my little pieces. Look at the contrasting designs though. They're lovely. And this is all you need. And then if you want to, like what we're doing today, you're like, okay, well, I need a base. I need something to sew these onto. So you can do like we're doing today. You can either make your Boro Sashiko inspired patch separately, maybe using like this. Here, I'll show you. This, you use a piece of denim. Typically, and look, see, this is a patch. Super simple. You see, you've got the red piece of fabric, you've got a yellow and white piece of fabric, and behind that, sitting on that, you have beige, and then sitting on that, you have your denim. And this is the back of it. Now, it's up to you if you want to give the backing, if you want to give the back part of it a backing. But typically, it is not necessary. You can put it onto whatever it is. You put it onto your another piece of a blanket, or like what we're doing today, an apron or a pocketbook or a jacket. You would take your little Boro Sashiko patch like this and sew it onto your piece. So we're going to put that to the side, and or we can do like what we're doing right now. And so I'm going to turn this. Hopefully I don't lose you. Turn that down. There we go. So we're going to do what we're doing like today. Is we're simply going to lay our pieces onto our apron. So our apron, you see the blue here, this is what they call our base. This is our base. Okay, so we're sewing, and we're going to, now, you don't need to start anywhere specific. I typically will start like straight in the middle like that, because that usually the pieces will intersect, usually pretty much. Primarily, I'll be able to pull these pieces together. So I'm going to go all over here. I'm starting over here, and there's different ways to start. You can start a little bit in. I just started at the end here. Some people will start a little bit in, like the margin, and then come back and then go back, and that reinforces the stitches. So you can certainly do that. I'm just simply going in one, doing a back stitch. Back stitches are nice, what they call locking. Those kind of lock everything. So we're just going to go one. I'm just grabbing, look, this is Sashiko stitching. I'm grabbing, usually I'm holding this up in my hands, but I want to show you what's happening. So I grab 3 stitches. Okay, and typically Sashiko stitching is just that. You're not using a hoop. You're pulling your thread. You're not pushing, you're not pulling it up. You're pushing it. So because you're pushing the needle through the stitches. See how much I pushed that? Now I'm coming and I'll pull it through. That just makes it easier to pull it through. And I'm doing about 3 stitches at a time. Okay, I'm doing about 3. And so now I'm going to pull the pin out as I come along here. One, now you see here, it's intersecting. You see I've got 1, 2, 3 fabrics there. So you're going to feel a little bit resistance. That's totally normal. But you don't want to feel resistance all the way through the piece. That means a couple things. It means you've got spandex in your fabrics. So try to stick with your cotton fabrics if you can. There's plenty of them out there in the thrift shops, plenty. Or I would say other organics like silk, wool, whatever it is you're working with like that. They're much easier to work with. Oh, this came out of, the needle came out of, the thread came out of the needle. So let me put that back in. And there we go. So, yeah, so you want to try to stay with an organic fabric. Now, if you're working with something that is, let's say it's 40% acrylic or synthetic, and it's like 60% cotton, that's pretty good too, because that will be enough cotton in there for you to work a little bit easier with. Now see, I did a little bit more than 3. I'm pushing my needle through, and there we go. And I'm staying with a simple running stitch. And this is typically how you do. You just hold it in your hand like that, and you do your running stitches. Your running stitches are visible. They are not perfect. They are not meant to be perfect unless that's how you really truly want it. And they are based on the method, the ancient method of Sashiko stitching back in Japan in the 1400s, when the farmers and the labormen, fishermen were trying to patch up whatever coats, blankets, and whatever they had to stay warm, because it came a time in history they simply could not afford to buy a coat. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this around, but I'm going to bring this back up through first, like that, because I just kind of want to show you something. So now, if you can see here, pull this up a little. Okay, so right here, I'm coming back up, and now I'm going to go up that way. Now, what I typically do is I turn the fabric that I'm working on towards me. So I'm going to show you that. But if I show you that actually in this particular angle, you won't be able to see, because the whole other part of this will bunch up. So I'll just show you. I'm going to just now, so now I'm going vertical, okay? So you can go vertical, and it's just something I want to show you here. Okay, now, what I was talking about in my last YouTube video, I wanted everyone to see that, look, we're coming off of the patches, and now we're going on to the base. You can use your Sashiko stitching, look, to create a simple grid or running stitch right on your base. Okay, now a lot of time people will say, well, wait a minute, they do that kind of stitching when they're making patterns, or they're, you know, that's special stitching. And it's really not. It can be part of your patches, okay? So I'm going to go over this way. I'm really not working on a good angle here, but because I'm used to this, I can get away with this right now. So now I'm coming back down. And yeah, now the humbleness and the beauty of Sashiko stitching, this is not typically how you do it, is backwards, but I don't want to keep turning this right now. So, but the beauty of it is that you can make stitches onto your base. So now we're going to come back down, and I probably will have to turn this to give you better a view. And I'm just going to do this. Okay, now I'm going to turn this way. Okay, so that works. Now, when you're sewing, make sure any part of your piece is not folded underneath, because believe me, that will happen. That can happen. So bring that a little bit closer. Okay, so now we're going to go vertical. It's much easier when you have the piece in front of you, because I couldn't even really go straight there. I was trying to. Now, am I going to pull it all out because I didn't go straight? No, I'm going to leave it. It's okay. And the reason it's okay is because it reflects the reality of how Sashiko stitching was used, which was in probably dim lighting, not good environment, because the people were struggling, right, financially. So they were just trying to get their blankets, their window cover, or they didn't really have windows, but draft covers, rugs, hats, mittens, all these things in the 1400s to keep warm and to survive. But look how beautiful that looks. Just one of the stitches down like that. See? You see the stitches right there. Okay, so they're going vertically, they're going horizontally. So this is how I'm going to continue this piece, right on the base with my needle and thread. And then I'll show you, I'll have it on my, let me turn this around again. I'll have it on my profile that I will, and I'm going to sit like this. This is how I typically do. I'll sit like this, and I'm stitching, and then I pull the pin out. And so it's kind of sitting in my lap, not really on the floor. But if it's easier for you on the floor or on the table to do it that way, you certainly can do it that way. And then now this is right at the end. So what I'm going to do is just pull it through. I'm going to pull it through. And what I typically do, let me just show you. So for those of you who are working on this, so at the end here, here's the back. What you can do is kind of weave. Some people will do a Japanese knot, like they'll turn it around and around the needle. They'll wrap the thread around the needle. But I like to weave it in and out of a few of the running stitches. So I wrap it like that, and then I put a little knot. So it's minimal. I'm not pulling it super duper tight. I'm just, because this is the reason. If you pull it tight, if you pull these too tight, what can happen is it pulls on your fabric in the front when the person, whoever or whatever, let's say you're going to wash this. So this isn't going to be put in a washer, but let's say it gets damp because you're spraying it and you're dabbing it. That would be the way to wash a piece like this. But even when you do that, you don't want the back part of here tightening any more than it needs to tighten. So that's why you're just be nice and relaxed back here. Not too loose. You don't want it loose here, but you don't want to be pulling on it. Okay, so that's that. So this, I'm going to go ahead and do my stitching today. That's my downtime. That's my meditative, in the zone, giving my mind and my body a break. So with that, I thought I would share with you. I hope that if you have any questions, let me know. Ask me, through my DM, or you can go to, let me take a sip of this. You can go to my YouTube channel, and I have an email there, and or you can ask me in the questions in the comments section there too. I'm more than happy to answer, and I'm more than happy to do a video on answering you. So my book, it's not an advertisement, just for those of you who are interested more in Boro. In my book, I do go into tidbits of the history of the mindset. I show you a collection of all of my work. or a lot of my work, like 10, 12 pieces of my work. And there's poems in there, and there's statistics on our beautiful, beautiful earth, and like the waste that's out there. And this is why we're doing this, to give our earth a little hug. So with that, I thank you for being with me today. And I will see you very soon again. If you want another video sooner, let me know. I've been typically doing them, I think, about once a week now on TikTok. So I'm happy to have you, and thank you for being with me. And thank you that you like my stuff. That's awesome. I love to hear that. It gives me an idea on what you like. So you have a beautiful, beautiful day.